So project life cycle. So first we'll discuss again, each of these we'll discuss in detail going forward. But at least to start the give you overall view, right? There are basically 5 phases of a project in waterfall model, the traditional project management. We start with the project initiation, then the planning phase, and then the when the project is being executed, right? The actual work is being done. Then parallelly, what happens? Like I said, monitoring and controlling, like Saurabh was asking, road construction. So it cannot happen that road 100 kilometer of highway will be constructed, then only the inspection will begin, right? It won't be like that. Parallelly, when you are constructing the road, this monitoring and control team will be doing the quality control checks, quality assurance checks to make sure that whatever has given by the client, the quality of road, all the specifications of any kind of project, right? Not necessarily road. Let's say building is being constructed, or you are building a tunnel, anything which is it, or you are building a manufacturing plant. Let's say Ola right now they are looking into building a manufacturing plant, big manufacturing plant for their scooters. So whatever has been specified, right? These team, these resources who are in this monitoring and control team, they'll be making sure that we are meeting that, the project deliverables are meeting that. It cannot be happen that okay, at the end we have delivered something and the client is not happy, right? Then towards the end, once you are finalized, completed, finally again the acceptance test will happen, close out or documentation, all those will happen toward the end. That is a project closure, right? We start with initiation of project, then again don't worry, we'll discuss each of them. Then planning, execution. Execution control actually happens parallelly, monitoring and control. Then towards the end, project closure happens, right? So, which one do you think takes the maximum amount of time, or where actually you should put maximum amount of time in this kind of model, traditional model, where requirements are finalized in the beginning itself? Which one?
Sir, planning, I think it takes
The
more time.
planning.
Okay. Yes, ideally, what happens, like we discussed in the previous class. So I'll not say much time, much focus, because time will be a wrong word to use. Yes, but much focus should be on the project planning phase, because that is somewhere actually your requirements, resources, everything being identified and finalized, right? Once I start executing, actual my money is going. Think about a road, any construction project, infrastructure project. As long as it is on paper or in my, let's say, project management software, it is just a plan. As long as once I finalize that and start putting money on the road, building a spacecraft, that is a cost. Later on, I cannot change that, right? So again, the much more focus. So it is not about time, because see, project planning might be 1 or 2 months, right? Execution might be for 2 years or 3 years. So I'm not. We cannot compare the timeline, but focus. If as a project manager, somebody asks like which should be the much more focus area, right? So this project planning, because that is somewhere you will have much more control. Project has just initiated, so any major changes it can be done right now. Once you plan has been completed, execution phase started, it is very difficult and costly to make any changes, right? Think about in this way. You have government has started with certain construction project of a stadium, and they told okay, we should have a 80,000 sitting capacity. Let's say this is a or cricket stadium, right? Let's say in Bhubaneswar, they're building a cricket stadium, new cricket stadium, and the initial requirements are for 80,000. So planning done, architects, designers, civil engineers all got together, wrote like soil testing, everything has been done. Now the planning phase, everything being finalized, right? And you start executing. So piling work, digging work, everything is being covered and construction has started. Then suddenly government official will come and say that okay, no, I think right now ministers are telling to increase it to a, we want to have a like make some record kind of thing, make it 1,50,000 sitting capacity. Just imagine like whether it is possible. You have already done the piling work. Either you'll put additional piles or again remove everything, start from scratch because the depth to which the piling work has to be done, like basically digging work has to be done, might be more, right? So lot of money will be just be wasted. So in this kind of work, I cannot start with kind of agile approach. It has to be a traditional where my requirement has to be frozen, finalized in the beginning planning page itself. Then only I'll go into execution page, right? So initially we'll discuss these six or five pages. Then last two slides we'll discuss how a project is being handled in a agile, right? Again, in brief, we'll discuss because that is only two slides. There is a detail like so was telling about the sprint, what is a sprint backlog, what is a product backlog. Basically, whole of the agile project management we'll discuss towards the like kind of last two sessions of our course. So that I have already indicated in your session plan, right? So in case you have doubt in any of these, don't worry, we'll be again covering that in detail. Initiation conception page, right? I have given you a case study. Case study means one page only, and that is about a medical center, research center. So they want to build a kind of a system, IT software system, which will help doctor to diagnose custom kind of patients, right? So go through that and go through these slides and try to understand why though that project actually failed. So that is a issue, that is a problem in the initiation or conception page, right? So what do you mean by initiation conception page? It is basically where the requirement is generated. Let's say some of you are in operations or a let's say marketing role or a HR role. Then you realize that okay, we do not have a let's say take different cases. HR team might come and say that okay, Ari, we do not have a proper performance management system because we are a startup. We did not invest a lot in performance management system. Now the team size has grown. We need to implement a performance management system. Or the sales team might come back because again a startup they did not have a proper CRM or a marketing automation. They might come back and say that now it is a right time because our customers are growing. Let us try to implement a CRM system. Same thing with your operations or a supply chain guy. We have not integrated our sales with our operational planning. Let us try to build that ERP module, right? So that those are the needs. Different teams, HR team has a need to implement a performance management system. Your sales team need to implement a CRM system, and your supply chain team need to implement a warehouse management system, right? So those are the need, right? Requirement from the user. Now conduct research to better understand the needs, right? Because this is just a kind of a wish list, right? I want to have a CRM system. So what do you mean by CRM system? What exactly you need, right? So that is where the research is required. So the user itself sometimes they'll go create those requirement list. This actually is our requirement. Sometimes it might happen that you are building something for the user, a new product. Let's say you start with a Dell or Lenovo. They realize that okay, right now the laptops they are using is not for this kind of. We cannot run those games which are having those augmented reality or virtual reality. So they need to have that technology or that kind of system which can play those kind of augmented reality or virtual reality simulations. So that is where they'll go and ask user, gamers, software developers, what is actually needed to build that kind of system. So this is where restate and document the needs. So project manager, anytime somebody asks what is the most important part of a project management, anything, anytime required, put that in a document. Nothing has to be assumed, nothing can be agreed upon verbally. Everything needs to be documented. Give the restated needs to the user, so that user who have that kind of needs, make them go through that document and ensure that we are not missing anything, right? So these are the few do's and don'ts. Some needs are ever changing, right? Because sometimes, like let's say this CRM system, this kind of software development, it cannot be like, okay, all nuts and bolts, everything can be finalized in the beginning, right? Because the salesperson themselves might not know what actually they need at that point of time. They might have some basic requirement. So they might say that, okay, at this point of time, I just need to keep anybody who visits my website, their phone number, email ID, contact details, right? Because later on I want to contact them, right? Right now I'm just putting that in Excel file. Somebody is keeping that Excel file, which is very difficult to manage. Can you build a simple system? Anybody visits our website, fills up that form automatically, that information will be updated in the database. So it is a very simple requirement. Later on, the same salesperson can come back and say that, can we check that whether this person who visited our website have bought some other items earlier from us, right? So that can be additional requirement. Same thing for HR system, performance management system. The HR executive or HR manager can come and say, no, right now I just need a basic system which will put names, employee ID, when did they join, how many promotions they have received, what is their salary, all those details, right? Who is their supervising manager and all those things. So we'll start with the basic performance management system. So every quarter or every 6 months, their goals or their whatever to-do list will be updated, and they will be tracked how much they are accomplishing on those tasks or deliverables. But later on, the same HR manager can come and say that, okay, no, I want to include the learning and development system there also. What kind of certification that person might require, what kind of different trainings that person might be required. That also need to be integrated. So sometimes needs keep changing, right? But remember that where like which kind of needs, if they change, will not cost you a lot, right? Think about the stadium example I gave. Because if the ministers keep changing their need, that project will never be completed and you lose crores of rupees, right? But in this case, because it is a software, right? Making changes, incremental changes is easy, right? Not difficult. But in the other case where you have a lot of capital tied up in any kind of project, making changes is kind of costly and very difficult to do also, right? Solutions are confused with needs, right? So that is something, remember. And most of the times, see, when you go to a customer, you do not ask, you have to ask what are the problem you are facing, right? I cannot go and say that, okay, this, take this and this will solve your problem, assuming they are having that problem. Same example, if I take a salesperson right now, what kind of issue he is facing or she is facing, he doesn't have a record of the visitors to the company's website. He doesn't have the record of potential leads, prospects. So he is having that need. There can be multiple solutions. I can just go and buy a CRM software. I can develop a CRM software, or I can assign an intern or a resource to build something in Excel itself. But if I just go with Excel and say that, okay, this will solve your problem, right? It should not happen like that, right? So that is where the difference between solution and need. Don't go with a initially with a solution. The needs identified are for the wrong user. Who is the user, right? Most of the times, if you, again, like so these are certain hints. When you are going through that case, try to find out what actually happened in that problem. See, most of the times that is a big issue in projects. Some higher management officer, CEO or CTO, will tell that we need to have a this ERP system. We need to have a automated warehouse system, because they attended some conferences. They went to US or Europe to visit certain conferences, and they liked the idea of automated warehousing system. But they are not the users. The user is in the ground, the supply chain personals, logistics personals, warehouse managers. Do they actually they need it, or it will make their life more miserable, right? So it should not be like somebody talks, okay, implementing the solution will be best for my company. It is not like that. Projects should not start like that. But unfortunately, it happens like that. If you see most of the government projects, because some candidate got vote, okay, let us build a road, let us build a bridge, let us build this statue, right? But what is the need? Who are the users? Do they actually need it, right? So that is something need to be asked. There is more than one user and their needs differ. Sometimes that will be a conflict. This kind of this warehouse management system, right? Sales people might tell that yes, we require these kind of features. Logistics people might say that okay, we need this kind of features. Warehouse managers might say that okay, we need this kind of features, right? Different users will have different kind of requirement, and sometimes needs will be conflicting also, right? It will not be possible to kind of provide all the answers to all the needs. Users' needs are distorted by the experts, right? I'll say that okay, I know everything about project management, so let me build a project management software, right? I'll not go and do what actually right now like any user of a project management software need, because I have worked there for 5 years or 10 years. So let me build a software. And that is a problem happens if you even look into the software projects. Because see what happens, who is going to use that website? Customers, right? What is right for a customer, without knowing that if I start developing a website or start developing application, most of the times it will fail unless you are Steve Jobs, so that you can like anticipate future. Most of the products software fail due to that, because there are in-house experts who will tell that yes, I have 10 years or 15 years of experience, but you are not the user. You have sold that product, you have worked in that industry, so you are expert, but you are not the user. That product, that software, that process is going to be utilized by user. So this is where most of the projects have a bigger kind of, because somebody in the higher authorities tells that okay, let us launch this project, let us do this, right? CEO, CTO, general manager, BP, and projects will be initiated and it will be a big failure later. So this is somewhere the like, because see here what happened, the project manager still is not in picture. So this is the interesting part. In the traditional part, here users are fighting. See, in a company, how it works. Company will have certain budget, which we'll discuss in next class, how the projects are selected, right? Company will have budget, so they want to like whatever revenue they are, some of the money they goes back to the company, right? In developing new products, new processes, right? So this is a so company every company will have certain budget for internal projects. It can be new product development or implementation of new processes, all those things. But they cannot kind of start all the projects. But every user, sales department will say that okay, my project implement a CRM system. That is must, because that will bring me revenue. Supply chain person will tell no, implement automated warehouse system. That is a most important thing, necessary thing. If you do not do it, we will make losses. HR will say no, unless you develop this performance management software or buy this performance management software, our employee attrition will increase. Now the challenge with management, because I have only let's say 2 crore or 5 crore rupees, which project will be funded? Because I have funding for only one project, right? So this is where the top management or the higher management, basically, I don't know, we have not discussed that. So project over project, there is something called program management office. Program management office handles multiple projects. So under a program manager, there will be multiple projects. Over program manager, there will be somebody called portfolio manager or portfolio leader. Portfolio leader will be managing multiple programs. So let me give you an example. Let's say this vaccination drive which COVID happened, right? So projects will be each district wise, each municipality district wise, the vaccination drive. So different team leads or different project managers are handling in Odisha. Then there will be might be two different programs or three different programs. One is for Covishield, one is for Covaxin, another is for some other vaccines, let's say. Then above that, there might be some other portfolios going on, right? Overall COVID vaccination program, along with that, the capability increase system in our hospitals, right? So that will somebody in a portfolio leader or a secretary, like kind of a principal secretary or chief secretary will be handling, right? Take our example of this college, right? Campus. So we have different specializations: analytics, operations, marketing, HR, right? All those area leads, right? Professors who handle those areas. Think them as project managers. So they are handling the project of improving the syllabus, right? Uh, Building new courses, improving the syllabus. So those are project areas under one program. So there is a program called MBA program. There is a separate program called BBA program. So somebody program managing MBA program, right? Under that, there are different electives or different specializations. Similarly, for BBA program, there will be a chairperson. Then above them, there is MBA program, BBA program, parallelly some MDP is going on, research activities are going on. Director is there who might be a portfolio leader, right? So that is how different strata in project management is also there. So which project to select, which project to fund, right? How you decide. So one important case is in the beginning of project to create a business case, right? This is a skill set. So don't think that is a finance guy. Business case means finance person need to develop. Need to know how to develop a business case, because anytime you are saying that okay, we need to have this kind of project, you need to as a user initial business case you have to develop. Later on it will be refined along with the project manager. But the initial business case need to be built by the user. Let's say you are the salesperson, you are the sales manager who is telling that we need to implement a CRM system. So you need to build the business case. So what does that business case mean? What will be my cost? What will be my profit, revenue? What will be my return? So detailed analysis of that. So this is my, again, it is in the very beginning, right? So you are just giving certain assumptions. If I implement this CRM system, these are the benefits I'll get, right? That is my, and this is my cost, probable cost, assumed cost. This will be the assumed cost to develop this or buy this, right? Because there are a lot of CRM solutions which are available off the shelf, right? You can just go and pay the money and buy those softwares, right? So this is where you start developing business case. Parallelly, you think of whether building that, making that will be easier or buying that, right? You can buy that also, right? Like I said, CRM software, all these kind of, if it is a software, rather than developing the software in-house, I can buy that software, right? Then the budget development. Budget is the costing part. If I want to build this or if I want to buy this, what will the budget requirement, right? So what does a business case comprises of or requires? Cost benefit analysis, estimated project duration, financial aspects such as funding approach. Let's say it is a very big project. ISRO is launching certain spacecrafts to outer space, 500 crores, 1000 crores. So now you have to think that whether government of India is going to fund all the money, or you will tie up with NASA, you will tie up with Eurospace Agency and get some part of the money, right? So that also need to be taken care of in the beginning. right? Risks, issues, preliminary risk management plan. See, here we have not started the project. We just have an idea. What can go wrong? Do we have the technology? Do we have the capability, right? All those things need to have part of your business case. Then obviously the assumptions, right? So this is the first part, project initiation or conception. Initiation, then feasibility, right? So again, it is like I said, for some projects, when you are not sure whether you have that capability or technological understanding, right? Let's say if ISRO tells that okay, we need to build a telescope like Hubble. We right now we do not have that kind of technology maturity, right? So that is where the feasibility, preliminary feasibility study will be done, right? Any question or any doubt on this? The first part, initiation or conception phase. So this again, I'm telling this is initiated by user, right? Towards the end of initiation, right? You prepare something called project charter, where right now the project manager will be assigned. Till now, project manager was not formally assigned. He might be working along with somebody, right? But right now, project charter is the formal document where we'll say that okay, project manager is some person. So it is a authorization document. If some of you later on somebody gives you a project, you have to look for that authorization document. It can be as simple as an email also. It need not be in this format. Simple email telling that okay, this is the project and you have been assigned as a project manager with this much budget and these are the resources. It can be as simple as that. But obviously for bigger project, it has to be a formal document. But without that, never start a project. Because later on what happens if you do not, like I said, project manager, sometimes it is a temporary role. You might be a sales manager or HR manager. For 6 months or 1 year, you are playing the role of project manager. And if you start a work without a proper authorization, somebody will say, who told you to start this work? So this is the document in the end of your project initiation. This document, which is known as a project charter, assigns who is the project manager. Then if you have a formal this program management office, they will assign a project number. Then whether approval, who will approve. Project champion is somebody who is paying money for that project. If it is, let's say, government project L&T is doing, right? So whether we have that approval that we have won that tender, right? We have won that bid. Now we'll start working, right? Then financial, which is basically from the business case, the resources risk, right? At least these are the things which need to be mentioned in your project charter, right? Most important thing is that project manager is assigned from this document, right? This document is basically authorization for project manager to start the project, right? It need to get approved by the project champion or project sponsor. Project sponsor is somebody who is paying money. Sometimes it can be outside client also, right? Any questions up to this point? Anyone?
Sir, in a business case, sir, how can we analyze that the project is going to be a beneficial or not? It seems to be like it's provided by the client side, or we have, suppose in a production company, we will generate our own project that we will going to install some other plant for the production benefit. So in that case, how can we analyze that the project will going to be give the profit or not?
If you cannot generate, then do you think that somebody is going to approve that? Think about the question you asked, right? I have a production plant and I have to have an additional production plant. If I cannot go back and say this, show the numbers that okay, putting this additional plant will benefit the company by this much money, do you think that somebody is going to give you money to build a plant? If let's say Maruti, right now they have this in Mansar plant and all those things, they are planning to build a plant for this electric cars. Unless you have a justification to build that plan. What is the justification? Because they are the profit making company. Unless you can show that, okay, within next 5 years or 10 years, we'll earn that revenue. It will improve our production or it will reduce our cost. Somewhere it has to show the like kind of some money, right? Without that,
Yes, sir.
if you do not have that clarity, nobody is going to approve the project. So was that your question or something else?
Sir, suppose from the in a software company, sir, the project is given by the client, sir. In that case, also the company who is taking the project from the client, they also analyze before taking the project that project will give the benefit or not. Then only they
No,
will generate the business case.
no. So right now the user see why if TCS is getting a project from SPI, TCS is not going to do a business case for SPI, right? SPI has already done the business case. They understand that if they implement a digital banking solution, it will improve their customer relations and it will bring certain revenues or profits for the bank. Now they are asking TCS to implement a digital banking solution and they will pay 50 crore or 100 crore. TCS is not going to do any business case analysis. If, like, let's say your question, uh,
Yes,
whether
sir.
to implement a digital banking solution, SBI do not have resources, managers who can build that kind of business case. So they will ask Accenture, they will ask this E&Y, they will ask PwC. So that is the role of a consultant. Can you do a feasibility analysis and give me an answer whether I should implement my digital banking solution? I'll pay you 1 crore. So then
Yes, yes.
PwC, Accenture, or whichever consulting company or Deloitte, they'll go and do that kind of research and come back and say that yes, yes. So they will build that business case for them if SPI doesn't have resources. So that is one of the big role for consultants. All these manufacturing companies, whenever they build a new plant or improve any this assembly line, they go to this kind of supply chain management or operation consulting companies, and they get their viewpoint. Basically, when I say viewpoint, they pay money and they ask that whether we should be able to do that if they do not have any in-house resource. But yes, if internal project, SPI is doing it internally, the user who is bringing that idea, right? They have to build a business case, right? Internally, when you are
Yes, sir.
developing, you have to do that work. Clear? So once your initiation phase is over, now the project manager has the document project charter. So he has been authorized. Now he'll go and gather resources. Okay, I need this kind of resources, determine goal, scope, project constraint, what is there in your project, most importantly, what is not the scope of the project. So that is some mistake most of the project manager do. Array, I have written what has to be done. So what not has to be done is like taken for granted, right? No. Any project document you see, they clearly mention these are the things which is not in our scope, right? So generally in this kind of traditional infrastructure project, your document itself will fill one room, 24 or 25 books of these 500 or 600 pages, because they go into that kind of detail, because later on somebody can not come back and say that, okay, I had told you this. So everything need to be documented properly. What has to be done, what not has to be done. Resource planning, identify members and their roles, define communication channels, methods, frequency, content. So to answer your question, here in the project manager will tell that, okay, a client, when the client will come for inspection, whether I should have a meeting with client every week, every month, or every quarter, right? What will be my team meeting frequency, right? So everything need to be planned. Suddenly it should not be like that, okay, array, I have not met my team members, let us have an evening meeting. So everything, your team meeting, your kind of stakeholder meeting, your client meeting, your like quality review meeting, Every type of meeting need to be planned here, right? Then obviously the most important part is risk management. We will spend one class on the risk management, risk register, how to create a risk management plan. That is one of the most important part in this planning phase. If as a project manager, your experience counts, how well you are able to anticipate risk, right? How well you are able to talk to the resources and anticipate their risk also, right? Because you might not have the knowledge of everything. You might not know software coding, but the software team member or the software architect, he or she might tell that no, whenever we'll get into this integration, because these two softwares are not compatible with each other, there will be a problem. So that will be a big risk. So you have to have a contingency plan for that, right? Then work breakdown structure. So basically project plan, your scheduling, each milestone, each line in your schedule need to be broken down, right? So your work need to be broken down into smaller elements, right? So that is what we'll discuss later on: work packages, tasks, difference between them. Then you start a project schedule development. So you're in your project planning phase, you start developing a schedule, right? Each day, each week, what are the tasks need to be completed and who is responsible for that, right? Then quality assurance plan, how you are going to measure the quality. So the question who was asking, it should not happen that after 1 year or 2 year you build that road and suddenly client will come and say that I'm not happy with the road. Your quality management plan need to be robust. Your quality assurance, the process through which you assure quality, it is different than quality control. Quality control, okay, my road quality should be this. The depth should be 10 centimeter or 15 centimeter. The width should be 15 feet or 20 feet. So that is the quality control. So I'll go and measure. Is there any location where it is not meeting the criteria? But quality assurance is that by which process I'm going to measure, whether I'll go through the human like kind of audit check, or I'll bring some drones, I'll bring some automated equipment which will do that checking. How I'm going to measure that? So quality assurance is about the processes, right? So that need to be identified, right? Sometimes these oil pipelines or this kind of refinery projects, once you build refinery or once you're building pipeline, it is very difficult to check manually, right? Because that will be 200, 300, 500 kilometers long of pipelines, right? How will you make sure that there is no like kind of leakage wherever the joinings or welding is happening? So what is your quality assurance plan for that, right? So quality assurance, remember difference between quality control. Again, we'll discuss that later on also. But if somebody asks you in between, difference between quality assurance and quality control. So think about a simple example. We know all about this online exams, right? And how you give that. Quality control is how much mark you are keeping, because if you're going above certain range, right, that is also problem, because ideally with actual proper examination environment you should not be able to go beyond certain range, right? Going below is also a problem, right? So that is the quality control part, right? I'm measuring your marks, I'm measuring your numbers and making sure that you are within that range, right? Quality assurance is the process through which I'm going. What kind of internal evaluation? Do we have sufficient quizzes, assignment, exercises, projects? I should not be that okay, towards the end of the class after 3 months, are take this 60 marks project, right? So then my quality assurance is wrong because I have not put emphasis on processes, right? So through which process I am evaluating you. Then the actual evaluation part. Actual evaluation part is quality control, but the process through which the evaluation is happening, that is quality assurance. Clear or any doubt? So like in the project initiation, you get this project charter, right? So by the end of your planning phase, so there is no end actually, right? Planning is basically when planning starts, Gradually, after certain level of planning, your execution also starts, right? But you need to have that document, right? Which is a project plan, which will have a project schedule, then a risk management plan, quality assurance plan. This should be there, right? Any questions, any doubt? Then basically most of the organizations use one way or other different kind of softwares, and these are basically for the software development: Asana, Basecamp, Jira, Trello, Reiki. Then MS Project is there, right? So one of your first project presentation will be to create. So I'll give you a task. I'll give you detailed list of tasks. So you have to create a schedule using any of the software. So each group will use a different software. So let's say one group takes Asanas, other group might take Basecamp. Take the trial version. You need not have to pay for that trial version for 30 days or whatever 2 months it is available. As a group, you have to create a schedule. Once we complete from next class onwards, not next class, because next class we're going to discuss project selection. After that, once we discuss project schedule, once I start showing how to build a project schedule, as a group, your first assignment for first class project work for 10 marks is to create a project schedule in any of the softwares. So all those 10 or 12 different softwares, I'll give you the list. So select any. So again, first come first serve basis, whichever group select uh, the software, so they are going to like kind of work on that software. So that overall, by the once the class presentation is over, it is not a presentation, it is a demonstration. So you have to open that software and show me how you build that schedule. So there is no presentation, you need not have to build any slides. So at least you'll get an idea how to create a schedule in using this kind of softwares. I'll try to take one or two softwares and will show you how to actually build the schedule, right? Okay. Then next is execution phase, right? So most of the time there is a kickoff meeting where you say that okay, we are starting this project, right? नारियल तोड़ के जो करते हैं, right? Then acquire project team. Actually, most of the time, project is a temporary endeavor, right? So different team members from different locations, different functions will come and work with you. Somebody from finance might come for next 6 months. Somebody from HR might come and work with you, right? Engineering team, production team, testing team, marketing team, right? From each of the team, depending upon the which kind of project you are working on, right? So you have to gather that team, develop that team. Sometimes they might need certain training, certain kind of, let's say, quality assurance, new processes has come. You do not know, have an understanding of ISO process. You might send somebody to have that training, right? So you're developing that team. Quality assurance, again, keep making sure that you are following the processes, right? Acceptance of deliverables, update project schedule and management plans. So that is in the software, right? So whenever any milestones you arrive, or you have to look every week or every day whether your project is actually progressing or is falling behind, right? Conducting status review meeting. So this is again frequency has been decided beforehand. So it is not that it is as per your wish of a project manager. Depending upon what has been agreed upon, every week or every bi-weekly, you have to have that meeting with clients, stakeholders, your team members, right? So mostly it is in execution and controlling and monitoring, right? So controlling, monitoring again parallelly along with their execution. So that's why if you see some of the activities are same: gather project status updates, manage and track decisions, facilitate project change document in case there is a change, right? Though I said that in traditional project management there should not be any change, but sometimes client might come back and say that okay, you need to build something which is not actually changing majorly, right? Then you can create this project change document. Okay, from this day there was a client request and we are from, let's say, sometime there will be a walkway path over the highway, right? So those bridges, somebody like there was a requirement and you agreed upon, right? With obviously additional money, right? You are not going to do it free. Uh, then accordingly, in case there is a change, revise the schedule. That is must, right? So this is where you have to look whether your project is going as per plan, monitor it and control it. Control means in case there is a you are not progressing as per the plan, what kind of corrective action you are taking. That is the controlling part, right? And any questions on this? Yes, sir.
Sir, in project management tool, sir, there is a Asana, Basecamp, Jira, Trello, and Rig. Which tool is the more friendlier, sir, and which is more tougher for use, sir, and all?
If you learn it, everything is friendlier. If you do not learn it, everything is tough.
Yes, sir.
So last is closing phase, right? So now let's say you completed the project, transfer all deliverables, right? So you say that in your project management software, these project activities have been completed. Complete the contracts, right? So let's say there is a contract between L&T and National Highway Authority, right? So that contract closure, legally contract closure has to happen. Both the party will sign that yes, the road is being handed over to government, to people of India, to people of Odisha on this state. Obviously, in the internal projects, generally people do not do that, but ideally they should. The project manager should ideally say that okay, this project is complete now and being handed over to the, let's say, salesperson if it is a CRM implementation, or if it is a performance management software, then to the HR team. But most of the times in internal team, okay, it is done verbally everything, which is wrong actually. Have a retrospective meeting, right? What went well, what went wrong. There won't be any project which everything went smooth, right? There will be obviously something did not happen as per plan. So that is a retrospective meeting, right? You are looking behind in the retrospecting, right? You are looking back and thinking, analyzing. Not only you, not only the project manager, all the project team members also, right? And that will give you a learning document, lessons learned, right? So document all learnings. Again, most of the project managers forget that. Array, okay, ho gaya, then let us move on. Because they also will have load, right? It is not that only they are handling one project. Parallelly, they'll be handling many projects. So, okay, ho gaya, this project is done, then I'll focus on other project. But ideally, you should create this lessons learned document. What went well, what went wrong, what could have been done better, right? Then disband the team, right? Because, like I said, these are temporary team members for your team. Once project gets over, they'll move on, right? So there are 5 phases: initiation, planning, execution, controlling, monitoring, then closing. Execution and controlling monitoring happens parallel, right? Any last questions before we move on to the agile part on any of these pages? Okay. So agile again mostly for, like I said, software or system development. Let's say it develops a certain processes, right? So how it happens? Again, concept. Somebody comes and says that okay, we have to build this website or these processes, performance management system process we have to build, right? Inception, initiate the project. So this is where the difference, main major difference between your waterfall or traditional project management approach and agile, right? Here, if you see, lot of iterations are happening. In your traditional project management, what happened? Your construction, then the release or the closure, right? You are executing a project, then handing it over. You are building road, inspection is going on, and handing it over. But here, if you saying construction iteration is happening, So changes are also happening because here, once you release, let's say, website, you developed certain part, then the client will come back and say that no, no, this website doesn't look good. A lot of customers are complaining because it is taking a lot of time to load. Why don't you change this kind of? That is something again like you have to discuss with client and change, right? So client might not know the technical, might not have the technical understanding. They will come back and say that okay, it is taking 10 seconds more to load. Try to reduce that, right? Or they might say that okay, why don't you integrate this chat system? Then again, you will go back. The team will go back and work on that. So continuous iteration keep happening. And once the finally it is ready, right? Client is happy and say that now it will be operational. It will be handed over to the maintenance team, right? So in software, that is how it works, right? You production, development, then testing, then production, then the overall system or the software is being maintained, right? And that is where a lot of discussion used to happen. Indian IT companies, most of the projects are maintenance projects. Development projects are used to be less. Right now, actually, they are getting a good chunk of these development projects. Let's say American Express or any USA bank or European bank, they want to develop a software project in any new system. They will go to IBM, Accenture, or any top company in USA software development company. Right? They used to. Then once the software developed, the maintenance part used to be taken care by Infosys and TCS. But now again, like TCS, Infosys are getting a big part of those development projects. Let's say Walmart wants to develop a retail management system. Recently, I think Infosys got a big project. TCS before that got a very big project from USA. So now they are also into development project, right? Then once the software is like after 10 years or 15 years, nobody is using. I think today or yesterday was the last date for BlackBerry operating system. Tomorrow onwards, BlackBerry operating system won't work anymore, right? So that is retired. Now it is gone. So it worked for how many 20, 25 years or more than that 30 years maybe. So again, like don't worry about this big picture. I have just put it here to give you a big picture. We'll again go through each of the phases towards the end of our course. I have one or two classes specifically for Agile project. So this is where your Saurav was telling about the sprint, right? Sprint is basically what actually in the next 2 weeks, right? We are going to do as a team. These are the tasks, these are the deliverables we are going to do. Out of those deliverables, high priority work items. This is the main things we have to develop first. Then you have a daily work meeting, that is that daily kind of 15 minutes. So that is how that, like I said, it is mostly a approach or a philosophy, right? So every day, every working day, anybody once they come to office, so time will be fixed 9 a.m. At 9 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. All the project team members, so that is known as a stand-up meeting. So all of them will stand together, discuss what need to be done for that today, what could not be achieved yesterday, what need to be done today, right? Within 15 minutes they have to complete. So that is where you stand up meeting, right? Because once you go and sit in a meeting room, it will go for a whole day will be going in plan. So quickly, okay, this was the task was not done, this was the task will be done. Then within 15 minutes you complete and go. So this is about philosophy. Nobody is keeping a time watch, right? Nobody is keeping time that okay, stopwatch, okay, saying that okay, 15 minutes is over. So a team will be performing optimally if they're able to handle themselves, handle the time, handle their work on their own, rather than somebody like a project manager saying, "Arey, ho gaya 15 minutes, now you go." Right. So this is again, like I said, mostly a philosophy how you handle yourself, how you handle time, how you handle work, right? So this is a feedback loop, right? So you keep working on that one sprint, as you know, in running. Sprint means running for short distance in a very quickly, right? So I am sprinting, right? 100 meter. But overall, our goal is to complete the marathon. We'll run 100 meter, look, go back and say that what went well, what went wrong, then improve that 100 meter. And after 50 or 60 or 70 days, we'll be able to complete the whole marathon, right? So that is how it works. So I think these are the few things I wanted to discuss. Is there anything else? No. So I have uploaded one assignment. Please complete it by when? Today is Tuesday, right? Next Monday, I'll update it in your project group. If some of you do not have a project group, please upload individually. Right? One person from the group need to like kind of upload. Right? There are 3 questions. We will spend 5 minutes on that case in the next class, 5 to 10 minutes. Then we'll start discussing on project selection. And any last minute question before I close?
Sir, assignment we need to submit by?
You submit by, I think, Monday. Monday should be good enough.
Okay, sir.
So attendance
Roll number?
225.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sir, 003.
Okay. Okay, chalo.